What's up, football fans? It's time for another week of picks and predictions. Week number 4, in fact, of the NFL 2024 season. Without further ado, let's talk about week 3, because, look no further. It's either this way or this way. I think it's this way. 7 measly points. 7 measly points. I go down many positions. My losses tally really nice and high. Let's just go through it here. So we start off with Thursday Night Football. The Jets win against New England handily. I'm like, all right. It's always nice to start off with that solid point going into Sunday, right? It's always nice to start off with that. Now, a bit of an upset. But a lot of people didn't pick the Giants. So not a huge big deal as far as my pool's concerned. Yes, I lose a point, but most people lost this game in Cleveland Giants. Cleveland ended up losing 21-15 for the Giants. I'm like, all right, the Giants are going to win a few games, so it is what it is. And then we start off pretty good. Green Bay ends up beating Tennessee pretty handily. Indianapolis does beat Chicago. A lot of people pick Chicago, so I'm thinking, all right, I'm feeling pretty good. Most people pick the Vikings, like me. All right, we're doing fine. That's when everything goes to shit. New Orleans screwed up. Where was this team against the Cowboys? Seriously, this New Orleans team, we would have scored 40 points on. Like, what was this? Philly didn't play that well. New Orleans just played. Every play was a mistake. Like, why are they doing that? The whole fourth quarter was just one big mistake. Like, seriously. Like, I watched that game just in awe of how this team was this close to scoring 100 points in 3 weeks and then just dropped the damn ball completely. I went, What is happening here? Did they rest on their laurels? Did nobody wake up for Sunday? I have no idea, because Philly didn't look that hot either. Just New Orleans wasn't doing anything. That game was awful. Philly ends up winning. Okay. Then the Chargers end up getting kind of bodied by Pittsburgh there. As I said, I was watching most of the New Orleans-Philadelphia game, so I didn't catch much of that. Tampa Bay losing to Denver, and not just losing, but scoring 1 touchdown, 26 points. Denver. Where did that come from? Then Carolina comes out of nowhere, scoring a solid 36 points against Vegas. Vegas is terrible. Vegas sucks. I don't understand why people think that the Raiders are a medium-level team when they're losing to Carolina. So anyways, 4 losses in a row. Make it up with the Seattle pick. That was an easy one, 24-3. That was pretty obvious. And then we get to the biggest problem with week 3. You guys know, those Cowboys. My damn Cowboys. Okay, so they turned it on with 11 minutes left. That's not when you turn it on. With a 60-minute game, you don't decide to turn on the engine with only 11 minutes left to go. Because then it comes down to the wire. We're down to hope. We nearly won. But that's only because all of a sudden we were a football team. Even if they had shown up, Jimmy Johnson himself said it best, turning it on in the fourth quarter when you haven't been playing for 3 just ends up with disappointment and makes the loss that much harder. Yeah, and he's absolutely right. The close score doesn't really matter, because we all know, anybody who watched the game knows that Dallas did not show up for 3 whole quarters of the game. So, just absolutely ridiculous. That was abysmal. I'm happy for Baltimore. Baltimore, has been showing that they're improving and getting better, and they're scoring points and stuff. But no, that was not it in any way, shape, or form. And I'm sort of glad that the Ravens beat the Cowboys, even though they're my team, because I don't think a team that doesn't show up to play for 3.5 quarters of the game deserves to win, even if they turn it up to 11 for the last 10 minutes of the game and manage to score a couple of touchdowns. I don't think that team deserves to win. I really don't. So anyways, I'm sort of glad they lost, and I'm glad it was the closer score, because now maybe a fire will be lit under their ass after having 2 straight losses. I'm hoping so. I really do hope. But anyways, moving on from that one, of course I did pick the Cowboys, and that score is not as close as it makes it seem to be. The Rams end up winning. I picked the Rams 2 weeks in a row. They lose. Both times. I decide, you know what? I got to stop playing with my heart. I got to pick either against the Cowboys or the Rams this week. I go against the Rams, and they somehow beat the number 1 team in the NFC. What? What the hell? So, yeah, just not my week. And then Detroit manages to actually win up against Arizona. So now all of a sudden Detroit's actually doing stuff. Granted, some of these were upsets. Arizona was a bit of an upset. I understand that. Chargers slightly, I guess. But I only really picked 2 upsets this week, and 7 points doesn't show only 2 upsets. Kansas City does beat Atlanta. At least the Chiefs are still winning stuff. Buffalo destroys Jacksonville like I thought they would. And Cincinnati. What is going on with the Bengals? Washington beats you. Washington. I just don't know. 7 points. Maybe I'm just bad at picking football, but I do know that a lot of people in my pool didn't do so hot either, even though I dropped down quite a few spaces. I think the leader only ended up with 9 or 10 or something like that. So my 7 doesn't look so bad, right? So, yeah, no one did hot this week, but going into this early, going 7-9, ain't it obviously is not a good look, because now my loss total, my percentage is closing the gap. So yeah, either way, week 3, I'm hoping this was my worst week. Now I got to make up a lot of points to get back into square, so I need a really stellar week. I need like a 13-14 point week to get back on track. So without further ado, let's jump in to the picks for week number 4. Now for tonight's game, you might think I would finally pick against the Cowboys. Thursday Night Football, if it wasn't against the Giants, and if it wasn't a road game, which I think we desperately need to sort of light the fire under a lot of our guys' ass, yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Cowboys. But I think they do deserve to have to show up. I don't want the Giants to roll over. I don't want to steamroll them, because then we'll get cocky again and think we don't need the improvements. I hate going up against good teams, getting our shit kicked, and then we fight 2 really weak teams in a row, because then it's like, oh no, we were just having an off day. It's like, no, you had holes, you had problems, and you need to work on them and fix them. So I really do hope the Giants give them a run for the money. Of course, I hope that my Cowboys win, but they need it. They need the struggle against the weaker teams so that they can say, hey, no, we obviously have issues, So either way, I'm still going with the Cowboys this week, only because we're up against the Giants. If it was basically anybody else, I'd probably vote against them, but Giants aren't very good. So then we jump into, of course, our Sunday 2 o'clock games. Atlanta over New Orleans. After that abysmal showing by New Orleans, you only beat Carolina and the Cowboys. That's not that impressive, realistically, because the Cowboys are so wishy-washy. We can't seem to stop a run to save our lives. So, yeah, no. Atlanta, walk all over New Orleans for me, please. Then we're taking the Rams over Chicago, of course. I don't think the Bears are really that good as everyone seems to keep picking them. They're not that great. The Rams just beat San Francisco, and they were close to beating the better teams that they were up against in week 1, like the Lions and stuff. So, is what it is. I'm going with the Rams. I'm not picking against them again, at least until they start losing, 2-3 in a row again. Minnesota over Green Bay, obviously. I think the Vikings are now they're probably the number 2 team as far as an NFC team goes right now, because the Cowboys seem to not know exactly where their placement is. San Francisco is, or the Eagles don't really know what they're doing either. So I'm going to have to really give it to Minnesota right now as an NFC team, probably one of the strongest, if not the number 2 team right now, right behind San Francisco. And Minnesota beat San Francisco, so you can make the argument Minnesota is the best NFC team right now. Up against Green Bay, of course, all these rivalry matchups, Atlanta, New Orleans, Green Bay, Minnesota and stuff, these ones are classics, and they're always harder games to win, it seems, but I still got faith in the Vikings to win that one. Then we're going to pick Pittsburgh over Indianapolis. We're going to pick the Jets over Denver. Not so hot about that pick, considering the amount of damage Denver did last week, but, it is what it is. I think that the Jets with Aaron Rodgers actually seems to be a bit more of a contender than I first thought, And then Tampa Bay. in Tampa. I think they really are hungry to make up for their abysmal loss last week. And the Buccaneers are certainly not a bad football team. I think they just had an off game. And they're in Tampa up against Philadelphia, which once again seems to have the same issues they were having at the end of last season. They looked like one of the best teams in the league at the beginning of last year. Then they lost 7 in a row. And now they're barely being able to beat a very bad New Orleans team that was asleep for half of the game. So yeah, I think it's a bit of an upset, but I'm going to go with the Buccaneers over the Eagles. Then I'm still picking Cincinnati. I can't believe I'm doing this. This one feels so weird to me. I'm actually still picking the Bengals. They have not won a game, and I'm still picking Cincinnati over Carolina. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. But for some reason, I feel like everybody's going to pick Carolina because they just beat the Raiders. But that's not impressive, and Cincinnati needs a win. They are desperate. They are so hungry for it that I can't see them going so long without a solid win, you know. Then we have in Houston against Jacksonville. Jaguars are not very good, and Houston is quite good. So Texans, easy pick over Jacksonville. Because the Commanders just beat Cincinnati, I am going to go with them as an upset over Arizona. And Arizona just lost to the Detroit Lions, and they should have really won that game, in my opinion. They just didn't look very hot. So, yeah, Washington, yeah, I'm going to go with Washington on that one. San Francisco in San Fran over New England. That one's pretty straightforward. Cleveland over Vegas because Vegas sucks. Cleveland might not be doing so hot themselves, but the Raiders are not a good team. So even if the Browns aren't that good, neither are the Raiders. You could call this a coin flip pick. And then finally we end off our Sunday with Kansas City over the Chargers and Baltimore over Buffalo. That's a big one. That's a lot of people probably picking Buffalo on that one. But I think now that Baltimore got their win, they're going to make their improvements and stuff. I think that comes down to a one-possession game either way. But I am going with Baltimore because it's in Baltimore. Generally, other than the Cowboys for some reason, generally home field advantage in a coin flip matchup does seem to tend to make the difference. Then for our 2 Monday night games, we have Tennessee and Miami and Detroit and Seattle. I'm going with the Titans over Miami because Miami seems to be, if it weren't for the Patriots, Miami would probably be the weakest team in their division, if not, but they're both down at the bottom. And Detroit in Detroit over Seattle. For right now, I'm tentatively picking that, but I might be choosing an upset come Monday night. I might be switching that one to the Seahawks because why not? Why not? The Lions haven't really impressed me that much this year. So as great as they've been said analytically, that all the analysts will tell you, oh, the Lions are one of these top teams. I certainly haven't seen it. So at least from the limited amount of Lions games I've seen, and they're certainly not exactly 3-0. So just saying. Anyways, that's the picks for week number 4. What are your guys' picks? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you back here next week for more football. Hopefully, I at least break through the 10 wins and go to at least 11 or 12. Because every point after 10 is kind of a bonus. And I need some bonus wins. I need to get myself up to 40 by the end of week 4. As close to 40 wins as possible. So, hopefully, this is my week. Let's just hope that I get a solid 12-13 wins this week. I can't really see it, but any given Sunday, as they say. So somebody's got to win it. Let's just hope it's me. All right, everyone, enjoy tonight's game. How about them Cowboys? Let's go, boys. Please show up for the game, for God's sakes. And, yeah, have a good one, everyone. See ya.